Dear closeted heterosexuals, it is I, supervillain to the Hero Movie Podcast and Battle of 1812 reenacted, Dr. Dan Dew. The reason why I'm writing this letter to you losers is because for reasons only Mary's handsome husband Joseph understands, people keep contributing to patreon.com/HMP. No matter how many times I warn people that I'll give them awful nicknames, they're still sending money to patreon.com/HMP. Everybody funny, now you funny too. This week's Lewis Longshadow behaved like a D-bag, and now he'll be known as Donkey Slap because I want to beat him like a rented mule. Lauren Carroll also gave to patreon.com/HMP, and from now on, I'm just going to call her Baby Feet because baby feet are completely worthless. I'm Dr. Dan Dew. I walked 47 miles of barbed wire. I've got a cobra snake for a necktie. Do you HM sheep think you're going to shut me up by contributing to patreon.com/HMP? I'll never die. I'll just keep going like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a show I could go on about, but I won't because Mom has to use the phone so she can surf the web. I'm Dr. Dan Dew. Burn in Hades!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais. We are back again, and I'm joined by Sean Keenan.
Heidi wants to see you wearing them Robin Shorty shorts.
And, of course, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear. If only I could replicate myself, I could be all three hosts.
No one would want that, or would they?
I would listen.
I would.
Only if one of me looked like Eartha Kitt.
Oh, folks, we have a very interesting episode for you this week. This week we're going to be talking about Batman: Return of the Caped Crusaders. This is the new animated movie from the fine folks over at DC. And it's, based on the 1966 Batman television program and also movies. Let's, call them for what they are. They had a quick theatrical run here. They're on VOD right now. They come out on DVD and Blu-ray November 1st, and I think we're going to talk about that in just a moment or two. But yeah, man. But they got the originals back, man. So we got your Adam West, you got your Burt Ward, your Julie Newmars, and everything. So they got the gang back together, but they're in animated form now. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that.
There was no Alan Napier, so I'm heartbroken.
Well, half the cast is dead, let's be honest.
And he was probably the first one to go. I think he died in 1968 or something.
he saw the debut episode, was like, oh, no. Oh,
that's what, Alfred?
Yeah, the guy in the glasses.
I've made a horrible mistake. This will end my career, if not me. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about that and everything. Hopefully, you got a chance out to see it, and if you don't, and if you didn't, we'll tell you whether or not it's actually worth going to see. So let's do this, gentlemen. Before we get to kind of rolling with everything here, we need to talk about people that take time out of their blessed day to go down to the iTunes, drop us a 5-star review, aka Humdinger.
A humdinger? I haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah. So this one is from Mr. Eric M. ERCM, if you will. It's entitled AKA Humdinger, and it's 5 stars. And it it reads as follows. This is a bold statement. I like this one. This show got me into comics. After last week's show saying what a good comic book shop should be, I gathered my inner Stallone and walked in. Turns out there was nothing to fear. The owner was a carbon copy of Bruce. I feel so sad for this guy now.
Oh, such a handsome, charming, talented man.
Didn't talk down to me for a second. I was just happy to tell me about his favorite authors. I'm currently enjoying The Mighty Thor. Turns out Eccleston's Malekith did not do the character justice at all. That two-faced elf is charismatic, and he is insane. Thank you guys so much for giving me hours of entertainment as well as a new hobby. Keep up the great work. That is from Mr. Eric M. Eric, man, thanks for dropping us a review there, man. We really appreciate that. And the fact that we've, opened your eyes to the world of comic books. And that's what we were talking about on that episode, man, is that so many comic book shops can really, especially from back in the day, have that, how dare you come in here vibe. But things have changed.
They're feeling the pressure from digital comics, man. If you're a jerk to people, they're just going to go to Comixology and you're going to go out of business.
Yeah, and it also, and like the majority of, big comic shops and everything have been closing down. It's not only just due to some digital comics, but some, but you're not going to gain a lot of new customers by having a new one walk in and just go, "Hi, I don't know anything about comics. Can you get out?" That doesn't help you. That doesn't help pay your bills.
Yeah, not good for any business, honestly.
No. So, it's good, but if you now here's how I'm wrapping it around. If you really want to know what kind of new stuff you should be picking up and everything, why don't you go listen to Chubby Wizard? That is a fine program where you'll learn all about stuff. I don't even read on a monthly basis anymore. I still listen to Bruce's show because I can keep up with what's kind of going on in the comics world and everything. And while you guys kind of talk about spoilers and stuff, I never really feel like, oh, well, I can't read that book now.
And I'm so dedicated to the show that I actually bought a blue wizard robe.
Oh my gosh, people! I've seen a picture of it, and with our next convention, Bruce will be wearing this around.
Let's be fair though, Bruce. You were gonna buy the blue robe anyway.
Yeah, but the rope was extra.
It's been a lifelong dream, and now that dream has been fulfilled, and so that's what you do.
Dear 13-year-old me, it's finally happened.
Yes.
He was just wizard back then, though.
It's like Bob Dylan said, 30 years of schooling and they let you buy a wizard robe. I think that's what he said. Nobel laureate Bob Dylan.
I was about to say, yes, Nobel laureate winner, no less. So, man, appreciate you going down there, giving us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you would like to help this show kind of reach others, take a little bit of time out of your day, and then we'll read your stuff. You'll get internet famous for a minute, We really appreciate that. And if you have the time, do like unlike our friend Dr. Dan Dude tells you, and drop on down to patreon.com/HMP. We've had a couple new people on board. We really appreciate that. Some more things are coming, and I have a job. But it's not
nice.
It's not started yet. So, and they're like, hey, you've got the job. They're still building the building that it's going to be housed in. So I don't have a start date just yet. They're like, hey, we'll email you when things are happening. And so just if you can, even like I said last week, and I'll kind of keep saying, we're value for value over here, man. So if you feel like you're getting anything out of this show, even if it's just $1 a month, that really helps us out here. And if everybody contributed $1, I wouldn't have to be worrying about a job. But we don't know that that's going to happen. But if you can't do that, Patreon. If you can't do the Patreon, do the iTunes or tell a friend, like us on Facebook, all that kind of jazz. Just get involved with it, man. Just tell a friend.
Please.
So that...
Or an enemy. We're not picky.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as long as, tell the Dr. Dan Do in your life. Hey, man.
Dr. Dan Do needs a sidekick.
Ooh. Think about that one for a while. And while you're thinking about that, let's go ahead and roll the trailer for Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders.
Welcome to Gotham Palace.
On tonight's show, Hector and the Ho-Daddies.
Holy, unholy alliance! Our greatest foes have reunited.
Let's go. To the Batmobile.
Let's go. Holy entree, Batman.
You fiends, you will rue this day.
The only rue here is in the gravy.
All right, Caped Crusader, you're our only hope. Not so fast.
But we're in a hurry, Batman.
Jaywalking is extremely hazardous.
Gosh, yes, you're right, Batman.
Quickly, Robin, to the crosswalk.
All right, that was a trailer.
Oh, I love it so much.
That was a trailer for Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders, our new release review of this week. IMDb plotline: Batman and Robin spring into action when Gotham City is threatened by Penguin, the Joker, Riddler, and Catwoman. This time, the four supervillains have combined their wicked talents to hatch a plot so nefarious that the dynamic duo really have their hands full. This is directed by Rick Morales, starring Adam West, Burt Ward, Julie Newmar, Jeff Bergman, Willie Silers, sure, Hawali Wingright, and Steven Weber. So Batman ain't been on, like, classic 66 Batman ain't been on television in quite some time.
50 years if you own a calendar.
Well, you know. Well, they had a couple of debuts.
He doesn't
50
have
years.
a job, Bruce. Jeez.
I don't have a lot of sense of time right now. I swear, I woke up on Friday and I'm like, I, honest to goodness, don't know what day it is. I was like, I felt so bad. I'm like, God, please let me get back to work, because I'm just like, I don't even know what dates or, times or anything are anymore. It's awful. But
Adam spent all of his money on Slim Jims and didn't save enough for a calendar.
It seemed like a good thing at the time, but really at this point you're like, crap. I don't know.
Slim Jims and a hot dog bun is no way to eat, buddy.
No.
Hey, that's not what Macho Man told me.
Oh, yeah. So my guess is Bruce has a little bit of something, a little bit of comic connection about this here Batman.
Yes, this week I want to talk about a man named Alfred Thaddeus Crane Pennyworth. He first appeared in 1943, and his creator credits are Bob Kane, Bill Finger, and Jerry Robinson, which means he was really created by Bill Finger and Jerry Robinson.
Yes.
That is the same dynamic duo who created the Joker. Now, originally, he was a plump, clean-shaven butler named Alfred Beagle. But in the first Batman serial in 1943, Alfred was portrayed by an actor named William Austin, who was thin and also happened to have a pencil-thin mustache. So the comics followed suit. In Detective Comics number 83, Alfred vacationed at a health resort where he slimmed down and grew a mustache, making this the official first appearance of a fat camp in the pages of comic books. Now, Alfred was originally conceived as a comedic foil for Batman and Robin. In most of his early tales, he made bungling attempts to be a detective on par with the young masters. Now, classically, the comics portrayed Alfred as a retired actor and intelligence agent who followed the deathbed wish of his dying father, Jarvis Pennyworth, to carry on the tradition of serving the Wayne family. Now, many of us have daydreams of inheriting great wealth when a family member kicks the bucket, but poor Alfred inherited a life of servitude to a psychopathic vigilante. So look on the bright side, folks. Now, initially, Alfred discovered their identities by accident while he was fighting off a burglar in the pages of Batman number 16. He accidentally hit a switch and opened a sliding panel leading to the Batcave. He attracts his attention by knocking a rope down before the crooks return, and this way, his first night in Wayne Manor allowed him to discover not only the Batcave, but the identities of Batman and Robin, because early one morning, late one night, depending on how you look at it, Alfred awoke to moaning and followed the sound to the secret passage in the staircase that led to the Batcave, where he met his would-be employers and their superhero identities after they'd been injured by a villain. Now, thank goodness when he heard that moaning, it didn't lead to Bruce Wayne and Vicky Vale having grown-up time. Now, while pushing Batman and Robin out of the way of a falling boulder one time, Alfred was seemingly killed. It was revealed that he had been revived by a scientist named Brandon Crawford. His attempt at regeneration resulted in a dramatic change. Alfred awoke from his apparent death with pasty white skin and superhuman powers involving telekinesis, along with a strong desire to destroy Batman and Robin. He started calling himself the Outsider, and he battled the dynamic duo on a number of occasions. Now, all is set right when he's bathed once again in the rays of the regeneration machine during a struggle with Batman, and he returns to normal with no memory of his time as a supervillain. Alfred has also known a few ladies in his time. He's been romantically linked to Tim Drake's stepmother, Leslie Tompkins, and a French lady named Mademoiselle Marie. He sired a daughter with the French fox, a young lady named Julia Remarque. And when Alfred is put out of commission by a healthy dose of fear toxin, Julia takes over the job of serving Batman, but she doesn't serve him that way, you gutter rats. Anyway, fear not. Fear toxin can't keep an elderly English man down, and eventually Alfred returns to servitude, and as a reward for his faithful service, Joker chops his hand off. But despite it all, Batman's best friend isn't Robin, or the other Robin, or the other Robin, or even the new Robin. It always has been, and always will be, Bruce Wayne's own butt-kicking Mr. Belvedere, Alfred Thaddeus Crane Beagle Pennyworth.
I don't think a lot of people really think about that like that, but it truly is the thing of like, hey man, if you really have the kind of go-to number two, it is Alfred. I mean that dude while cleaning the kitchen and everything still kind of helps coordinate a lot of crap, you know?
As much as I don't like the TV show Gotham, I love, and I think that you're with me here, Bruce, and I think you are
absolutely.
Too, Adam.
Yeah.
That is the best Alfred ever portrayed.
Sean Pertwee, straight out of the pages of the Jeff Johns Earth One Batman.
Yeah,
so good.
And I got to see him at a panel at Dragon Con this year, and he's just a lovely dude, and he takes the stuff real serious, and like he really thinks about Alfred as a character and stuff. So, while he could just be like, oh look, I'm in a goofy little fun superhero show on Fox and everything. This cat takes it for real and whatnot. So you got, even if you're not a super huge fan of the show, you got to admire that cat.
I think he's using that show to make his case as the next Doctor when Capaldi retires.
Honestly,
that's a great idea, man.
It wouldn't be bad. I could like a more kind of rough and tumble, punch him in the face Doctor. I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not to mention it's in his genes as well.
Well, there you go. It's just like, this feels somewhat familiar. That would be cool. But yeah, man. So let's kind of get into it. When this was announced, I was kind of surprised because while the '66 Batman is beloved by a lot of people and everything, they've had some. I don't know how they've done in sales, Bruce. Maybe you know this, but they've kind of put out a couple of retro books,
Blu-rays
if you will,
and stuff. Yeah.
Of kind of older, the series there, but they've also had the Kevin Smith helped work on a book, Batman '66 and everything, and a couple other different stuff going down.
Yeah. The book did pretty well for about a year, and a big part of it is, what channel was it? Was it CBS that had the old Batman show that Batman '66 is based on?
I believe it's CBS. Yeah.
Yeah, but the television company actually owned a lot of specific likenesses and rights to characters as they were portrayed on the show. So DC and Warner Brothers couldn't deal with those until about 3 or 4 years ago when they got the rights and started putting out the Batman '66 comic, and that's why we've had the Blu-ray release in the last few years of the old TV show. That's why we've had the Batman '66 comic, and I suspect that's why Warner Brothers finally was able to work on this to coincide with the 50th anniversary of the 1966 movie. Obviously, they would have liked to have done it 25 years later and 30 years later, but it was not until the last 4 years that I think they had the rights to do it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. What kind of contract from hell did Warner Brothers sign? Jeez.
It was one of desperation, but this predates DC being part of Warner Brothers, so that's part of how it works. That's why Spider-Man and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four are all in limbo, because it was before the movie company acquired the comic book company.
Now, I'll be honest. There's some nice little thought. I don't know how legit the kind of rumors are, but there's kind of some rumors going around right now that even Marvel Studios and stuff is kind of talking with 20th Century Fox. So you never know.
Yeah,
and that's a pretty recent.
They want to buy the rights to Fast and Furious, or is that Universal?
That's Universal. I can't believe I know that.
I think anything's possible now because I thought there was no way in hell we would ever see Spider-Man with the Avengers, but here we are.
Well, I mean, the important thing to think about if they're talking to 20th Century Fox is that we could officially bring the characters from Married with Children into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Finally, somebody's been reading my diary over here.
Yeah.
Bruce, I think that might be a mistake.
I don't know, man. I really like that Bud Bundy kid. I think he's got something going for him. He's going to have a huge career someday.
Listen, until Feige strikes out, you let him do what he wants to do, okay?
Now, the thing that amazed me, when I was looking at the fact that they brought Adam West back, Julie Newmar back, Burt Ward back, but Adam West is 88. Julie Newmar is 83, and Burt Ward is only 71. So that is the youngest I've ever thought of 71 when I look at the age of those three leads in this movie.
That's funny.
I got to disagree with you here just because of, all of the time I've spent on it. Stallone is also 70 years old, and I do not think of him as 70 at all.
But Burt Ward sounds like a kid still. Does he have a glandular problem? I mean, he sounds like a teenager here. Adam West sounds old. Julie Newmar sounds uncomfortably sexy to me for an 83-year-old. But Burt Ward sounds like a teenager.
Yeah, Burt Ward still honestly, he could keep doing this voice acting thing for as long as he kicks around because of all the people, he is the one that sounds still pretty darn close.
And
I agree. I agree. It's funny, man, because when you hear Adam West doing Batman's voice now, he sounds almost the same to me as the guy who was doing Superman's voice in the Super Friends. It was clearly a very, very old man.
For some reason, it sounds to me just like whoever it is that does the voice of the mayor on Family Guy.
Something like that. Listen, people, don't start writing us. That was a joke. He's smarter than that.
Mayor West, yes.
But yeah, man. So I was interested because now, like we've kind of gotten into because we talked about the original Batman movie and everything from '66. Yeah, I liked Batman growing up and everything. Like I watched the live action, one from the '60s and all. But really, my big giant formative, of course, was Batman in '89. But really, what kind of stamps it out? And the thing that got me thinking about this was, if you saw this in the theater and everything, there was a brief little video before from Kevin Smith and Greg Grunberg on the set of Geeking Out, talking about kind of their Batman and everything. And the Batman '66, while still in reruns and everything, was their Batman. And the animated series was my big.
I got to tell you that I relate to Kevin Smith on that one. I know for you, Adam, your childhood memories are always going to be Kevin Conroy. Mm-hmm. But the same way that Kevin Conroy connects to the Batman character with you is the way that Adam West, for better or worse, connects to that character with me. That is the first Batman voice that I really remember. I mean, I watched the Super Friends, but it was a cartoon. These were real people on these reruns I watched on WTBS.
Oh yeah.
So it just really has a sweet spot of nostalgia for me, probably on the same level as Kevin Conroy's Batman does for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely, no doubt. I can see that with everybody, and that was their thing. And while technically I would say that was probably the Adam West Batman was my first Batman, the one that left the indelible impression on me was an animated for sure.
Yeah.
So
how about you, Sean? Where do you fall on that?
I'm looking it up now because I can't remember what the guy what the creator's name is, but is it DeFalco who did the run where he was like, look, Batman should only be Batman at night. I can't remember who that was, which Batman creator. That is the Batman that's my Batman, because when I was a kid, I remember reading those comic books, but I'd seen the TV show first. And I was like, wow, that is a completely different character than the character on the show. and it was surprising to me how dark it was, even as a kid, because he's fighting people in the grave, like in a graveyard, and it was so interesting to me as a kid. I was like, wow, comic books are dark.
And I mean, was that pre-1989 Tim Burton? Because I remember a whole lot of shift to the dark after The Dark Knight in '86 by Frank Miller, and then once Burton's movie came out, it all turned into Dark Knight type stuff.
Well, it was even before that. It was even before Miller's Dark Knight.
Okay, so you're talking 82, 83, 84, somewhere in there.
Yeah, like the early 80s. You know, I can remember thinking very specifically that this was a completely different character than Adam West's Batman.
Yeah, I was still stuck on Super Friends at that point.
Yeah, so like while I've had fun with all this kind of stuff, it was never really my Batman. So going into this movie, I was like, well, you know, I mean, I enjoy it for the camp that it is now, but it's not high on the list of like, oh my gosh, this is my jam. So I was a little bit apprehensive going in. I like the idea of like, hey, let's do it animated and everything. We can have the original actors back, which I thought was a very nice touch because they could have, in this world, they could have so easily gotten anybody else, and it would not have worked as well, I don't think.
Oh no!
I totally agree with you. You have to have the two mains. You have to.
And they need to get these two guys churning out a movie as often as they can before Adam West goes to the great Batcave in the sky, because you've really got only a few years left. You know, just mathematically speaking, the guy's 88. You got maybe 15 years if you're lucky. And I just think you need to get as much like archival stuff of him doing this at the end of his career as you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds a little bit morbid, but I left this thing thinking that exact same thing of like, man, they better get at least 2 or 3 scripts out so they can just really just bang those out super quick, just to, if nothing else, you know, stagger the releases, of course, but, you know, at least you'll have something in the can.
I mean, you don't even need to have him animated. Just have him read some lines, some stuff that you can fit into something in the future. You really need to we're in an age where you can finally record great things for perpetuity, you know, with the digital perpetuation. You don't have to worry about film degrading. You don't have to worry about wax canisters melting like Thomas Edison's day. They just need to get as much of his voice doing Batman as they can in the time that they have left, and let other people know this is a definition of Batman.
Yeah. And I that's what I've always said about Peter Cullen. We need to start getting that guy to start reading the dictionary, because you can't find any other Optimus Prime than that cat.
I know, man. I agree. He's got to do the Siri thing where he says every syllable imaginable, and they can just put his dialogue together.
Oh my gosh! If I could get an Optimus Prime Siri in a heartbeat, dude, I'd actually pay for that app.
Yeah, and I can have Peter Cullen order pea soup whenever I want pizza instead of Siri.
Calendar, roll out. Love it.
Love that guy.
So yeah, man. So going into this, I was just like, I was very apprehensive. I was just like, okay, well, this seems like they're going to be, kind of just cashing in on, obviously, like we said, the 50-year anniversary and everything. And the trailer, while it looked kind of cute and everything, I was like, I don't know what to expect from this. And unlike a lot of these DCU things, man, this is a proper length. This is
I totally agree with you. You know, I think that, yes, this is a cash-in thing, like you said, Adam, but it's done well. And it doesn't matter that it's a cash grab. If it's done well, I don't care. They can have 15 more cash grabs as long as it's done like this one is.
The Empire Strikes Back was there to make money, but you know what? It's amazing.
Now, a couple things.
I'm sorry, Bruce. Go ahead.
As far as the cash grab goes, the theatrical turnout when I went to see it paled in comparison to the number of people that were at The Killing Joke. But The Killing Joke made $4 million in 2 nights. This made probably a few 100,000, I would guess.
I don't know where it was. Like I ended up, I thought the show was at 7:30 instead of 7, so I was like, I showed up a couple of minutes later than I actually wanted to be, and I'm like, I don't know if there's trailers on the top of this thing, so I ducked out and waited till the 10 o'clock show. So as you can imagine, the 10 o'clock show was on a Monday, was not super filled.
And I mean, The Killing Joke was standing room only, but everybody complained about The Killing Joke. Everybody loves this, so it's this whole weird thing. It's like,
right?
More people that go to see something, the more criticism I guess you're going to get. Fewer people go to see it. They're the people that love it and they want to see it, so it works well for them. But I think this is going to have more legs long term, but The Killing Joke definitely was the better quote unquote cash grab. And you said that you thought this was a decent feature length. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, it's over the, kind of requisite just 1 hour that most of these things tend to be.
It's only 70 minutes.
Yeah, but because
it
usually
feels
they're like
longer than that. It has a lot of motions in it, so it feels longer than that. Yeah. But it's still only 70 minutes. But they had the pre thing, and then they had the post thing, so that does stretch out to about 2 hours.
That's true. But the big thing is really they average from about 45 to right at 60. So even that extra 15 minutes in animation time is a long time. When you consider like your average animated, cartoon out there is 22 minutes.
That's true, man. That's true. And it really bites you in the backside because these direct-to-video things, you got to pay $20 to watch them a lot of times. This is one of those lucky things where we had a Fathom release, so I could go see it for $7 or whatever. Mm-hmm. But when you pay $20 and you get 59 minutes with credits, you feel ripped off. So that is good about this.
Yeah, not only, but also the credit sequence and the opening sequence to this thing it might be my favorite opening sequence I've seen to a superhero movie ever.
With all those classic Detective Comics and Batman covers going up on the screen?
Well, yeah, along with the Batman music. It's just so perfect. I mean, like right from the jump, I had a smile on my face the entire time watching this.
How'd you feel about Robin practicing ballet, kind of our opening scene of the movie?
I thought it was perfect, man. I thought it was exactly this is the tone. They're not going to try to make this like a darker Batman, which was my fear with this.
Yeah. They kind of do make it a darker Batman, but they do it so tongue in cheek that it works really well.
Well, and here's the thing, man, is that it's still like this is like the 60s. I mean, that's to me that was the biggest part, is that we're not updating them to where Batman has a cell phone or some such nonsense.
I love it, and they're holding on to all the old tropes from the TV show, because when the what are clearly the Russians are launching a rocket into space, they call it Belgravia, which is exactly the kind of stuff they did on the 66 show. Everything's kind of just a little bit off kilter, and I like off kilter.
You? No.
There's so many nice touches to this this whole thing, man. They have they go the extra mile to let you know, look, we know what this is. And just certain things like you heard in the trailer where, like they're extolling the virtues of crosswalks and how you shouldn't jaywalk.
Yeah,
I mean, it's so good. It's so good.
And one scene that kind of sums up the spirit of this movie for me more than anything else, when the Joker and Catwoman and Penguin and Riddler are pretending to be the Ho Daddies on Gotham Palace, and Batman and Robin show up to fight them, and the cameraman switches over to fight camera, and it goes to that Dutch angle, which is just what they did. I love it.
So good. Yeah, Hector and the Ho Daddies might be my new favorite band.
That might be your new Twitter handle, man.
But I like also how like they go through and they're just kind of sort of semi-dressed like the Beatles, right around Magical Mystery Tour, a little bit Sgt. Pepper's kind of thrown together.
Later in the movie, we get the Bedbugs, who are clearly the Beatles. I don't know who the Ho Daddies were.
Yeah.
The Bedbugs, I think, were the Beatles.
It's all close to this. Just different eras of their time.
Hector and the Ho Daddies are more, now that I'm an expert in them. Oh. They're kind of like the Yardbirds more.
I thought they were like Paul Revere and the Raiders. I wasn't sure.
I could see where you would think that, but they just doesn't have the staying power of the Yardbirds.
I'm gonna say something very controversial. More Paul Revere and the Raiders fan over here. Just saying.
Yeah, because Enery the Eighth I Am.
Yeah, that alone. But no. So I'm gonna talk about this before we start getting into a little bit more specifics and stuff. I think this thing was absolutely just masterfully animated. Where we felt like in so many other cases that the Killing Joke felt like it was rushed, this felt like they took the right amount of time on it.
And I'm going to tell you that at first, when I first started watching it, because they were holding on to that 60s aesthetic, I thought maybe it was under-animated. But as the movie went on, I started to realize, no, this is very, very well done to look in that old aesthetic. It's hard to make it have that old look and do it well. You follow me there?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely, man. I even have in my notes here that I love the style of animation, and I can't even remember the last time I said that for a VOD DC thing.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it was Doctor Strange.
That wasn't DC.
But no, most of these things they can look a little bit, slapdash and everything. But it looks like they took their time, and it looked like this was a true labor of love, as opposed to more of a, we got to keep on keeping on with this DC animated stuff, so let's pump in another one that looks good but may not be amazingly good looking.
And I do also kind of like how they kept intact the ludicrousness of the Riddler's riddles and how totally non-logical it was that Robin and Batman would figure it out. Like the foil, they're chasing him in their hot rod after the Ho Daddy scene, and a balloon with a piece of aluminum foil floats down, and Robin says, "It's because we were foiled," and he goes, but it also has gravy on it. That means they're at the abandoned TV dinner factory, and they show up, and in classic Batman 66 style, the big sign says abandoned TV dinner factory on it. Like, I wish more abandoned buildings around town would put the word abandoned on them back in Huntington.
Just so
my only gripe with this movie is, and it's not even that big a gripe, is that I think it was really missing where they're climbing up the side of a building. I really wanted to see a celebrity poke their head out of one of the windows.
Oh my gosh, did I ever just like...
I didn't want to see a celebrity. I wanted to see Eva Gabor, like what passed for celebrity in 66.
That's exactly what I mean. Something great.
Like Alice from the Brady Bunch should stick her head out. Have you seen six kids running around?
I mean, how perfect would that have been, man? Like Paul, I mean, he's long dead.
Paul Lynn.
The ghost of Paul Lynn comes out just because I Caped Crusader.
Or as we call him in my family, the center square.
Hey, Caped Crusader, what are you doing up here? This is...
Who would be a modern Paul Lynn?
Keep going.
Who'd be like Bruce Valanche? Would that be a modern Paul Lynn?
No one knows who Bruce Valanche is.
I hate that guy
I do too. But you know who does a great Paul Lynn is Alec Baldwin.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
That doesn't surprise me at all. That guy's he probably would have been up for providing a voice for this movie. He seems to kind of be into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he would have been perfect to just kind of pop out and just be like, just kind of the weird. Yeah, no, I'm down.
My favorite Alec Baldwin line of all time, and I just thought of it this week, is when is on 30 Rock. Tracy Jordan walks up to his character and he goes, "Yo, Jackie D, you like Phil Collins?" And he goes, "I got 2 ears and a heart, don't I?"
That's classic Jack Donaghy right there.
Oh man. Now, what did you guys think about the death trap when Batman and Robin were in the giant TV dinner and he had to use the lemon custard to melt through his ropes on his hand?
What are they feeding these giant people?
Yeah, that's a really rich guy buying that TV dinner.
So perfect, man. It's so stupid and so ridiculous, and it's kind of and I think that they did this on purpose, where it's kind of obvious. You can just roll off the tray, guys. Yeah. But they don't do it. That's so great. It's so perfect.
That's a big...
Only James Bond was more ridiculous with his death traps in the 60s.
That's a big lip on those trays, man. You gotta get some real momentum going.
That's some rolling power.
You gotta do the old steamroller over one another in order to get up to at least half the height of the lip of the tray, man.
It also proves that the FDA would let companies put battery acid in your TV dinner back in the 60s.
Yeah, they were just like,
strong lemon custard.
It's good for the kids. Why not?
And Catwoman scratches Batman's face and gives him that Superman 2/Spider-Man 2 lose your powers and or turn evil serum.
The standard Tropy McTroperson.
Yeah, it's nice. They went ahead and put the sequel in the first movie.
Exactly. I also wish that the bad guys' goons had, like, we knew what their names were, because they looked just as interesting as the villains were. Like, there was that one gigantic guy who had the T-shirt that said G.O.O.N. I want to know that guy's story. What's up with that guy?
Man, straight out of the 66 series, they had T-shirts like that back then.
I don't even work here.
So good.
And I also like it. They have the big tough guy with the little kitty ears on to let you know he's Catwoman's lackey. And when the fight breaks out and Penguin and Joker and Riddler are all out there trying to mix it up with Batman and Robin, and Catwoman standing back in the corner going, meow, meow, with her. That's exactly how it was in the 66 series with Newmar and Kit.
Absolutely. And we're getting close to one of my favorite lines in the entire movie, which is, "No language is dead as long as it lives on in your heart."
That is truly some corny Bruce Wayneisms from 1966.
So good, man. I know I'm the guy. I know that I'm the guy who usually hates the animated stuff. But the reason why I hate it is because they're completely tone deaf to the character, and this is the exact opposite of that.
Yeah,
it's just perfect. All the touches are perfect in this.
And what's amazing is in 30 years, they're going to do one of these with Michael Keaton.
Don't
even get me started, because we're going to go into an Adidas hole if we're going to start with Michael Keaton.
I can't wait I can't wait till I'm in a nursing home and they have the George Clooney animated Batman direct-to-video movie.
Here's the thing, man. Clooney would probably do it.
He'll be 127 years old and still look great.
Yeah, he's still going to be married to his 17th 30-year-old wife or something. But they do all the sequel tropes in the first movie. They have evil Batman. They also go to space, which is like what you do in the fourth or fifth movie in a franchise, right? How long was it before Jason went to space?
Like
that
10?
Was Jason X,
10.
right?
Yeah.
So they're going to space. Leprechaun went to space in 4, I think. So Batman's going there in 1. I gotta respect it.
Let's break this down for a second, because this is one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah.
The Bat rocket looks amazing. The way that they designed that rocket to make it look like the car is absolutely brilliant. I thought it was incredible. I love that Batman's astronaut helmet has bat ears on it.
Yes.
So that you don't forget that Batman is an astronaut and this is his helmet. I love that. I love when they get to the Russian space station and the space station looks like the Kremlin. Terrific.
Yeah. Now, I do wish in a way that the rocket had looked more like the one that Ace and Gary used on Saturday Night Live.
This is a children's
When's that
program.
movie coming?
Yeah. But when they go into space is when we get to see Batman break bad. Because before, whenever he's been punching people, it said like poof and boom and pow. And then all of a sudden he punches somebody and it says fracture. And then he punches somebody and it goes agony. And that's when you're starting to get the clue that something's up with Batman here in space.
But it's like, to me, like, all this is so cool, the fact that we go to space, because what this entire thing felt like is, what if in 1966 we had an unlimited budget? We could do whatever we wanted to do.
Before Batman gets there, the guy criminals are trying to launch Catwoman into the vacuum of space. So Batman saves her. So we've got Robin and Catwoman flanking Batman when he gets ready to confront the villains. And then he says, "You better pray there's enough of you left to put behind bars when I'm through with you." And Robin's eyes, no kidding, are as big around as the hubcaps on like a 63 Studebaker. It's just awesome the way he's drawn with those gigantic eyes. Like, he doesn't say a word, and he's off center of the screen, so you got to be looking for it to see it. But that subtlety says so much. Like, Robin's his mind is blown when Batman turns into the Dark Knight.
But Batman.
Yeah, because, Adam West always referred, after the Tim Burton movie was made, when Adam West would be interviewed, he referred to his character as the Light Knight, not the Dark Knight. But here we get to actually see Adam West do some Dark Knight lines.
I think it was so ridiculous during that period of time where Adam West didn't understand why they didn't ask him to play Batman in those movies. Come on, Adam West.
It's like, at the time, you're 55 or something.
Yeah, I was going to say he's 88 now, so 89 was almost 30 years ago, so he was under 60.
Nothing like an old geriatric Batman coming out of the, come on, dude.
Hey, Roger Moore did it at a much older age than Adam West would have been at that time.
And Roger Moore Bond movies stink. I said it. Yeah, 40.
Not all
they're
of them.
Awful.
Yeah, 40
Not
year
all
olds.
of them, just the last few. The last
Man, they're bad. They're so bad.
The first 3 are great. The last 26 aren't so good.
That was one of his big problems. He did way too many.
And I love it, too, because the stunt double is clearly 27 years old.
And he seemed to just walk through. He seemed to just walk through the movie by the end too, where he barely knows his lines. I mean, it seemed like he was doing the least amount of work humanly possible.
And at least took him like 5 movies to get to space.
Yeah, Moonraker.
But I also liked how they didn't even have to do any, like, you know, it was like basically the first time Robin's almost seen this shuttle. So it's just like, well, you don't have any formal space training, but let's get aboard this ship and go blasting off into the stars.
Yeah.
So good.
I do love it, man. And then the 0G fighting is kind of fun. They have a little bit of fun with that. But the whole
Ender's Game stuff going on there.
But the whole idea is that this is how Batman gets his hands on the replicator ray, which is when everything goes awry back on Earth, right?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like, for the longest time, I was like, I thought that was something that they weren't going to do anything with. Because they let it sit for quite some time before anybody really replicates anything, and I'm like, man, did they just leave this hot idea on the table? Like, that couldn't have been, right? And they didn't, but man, I got worried.
They give the audience a lot of credit in this movie because they don't spoon feed some of the plot. You know, Batman goes and he's doing his replication of himself, and they're having a lot of fun. Not to mention, it might be the first time I've ever seen Chief O'Hara and Commissioner Gordon in their boxer shorts at the same time.
Take off your clothes, citizen. Like, whoa.
But a bit later on, when we're seeing the prison scene and we've got Joker, Penguin, and Riddler there in prison, when they go break out King Tut and the Miner and the Jeweler and Egghead and all these other classic Batman 66 villains. And Joker, Penguin, and Riddler turn into a pile of dust, not unlike the Batman 66 movie Dehydrator piles of dust. When that happens, my son goes, that wasn't the real Joker. He was a duplicate. And I didn't even have a clue why he turned into dust. And my son opened my eyes up to
I'll be honest with you, your son was smarter than I am. I'm like, well, I don't know what happened there. Literally,
I thought it was like orange. This orange pile didn't make sense, but you know, it's a clear. I mean, we gotta agree that's a clear homage to the original Batman '66 theatrical movie, where every one of them's got a mutter, you know, and he's sweeping up all the dust. And yeah, clear homage to that. And my 9-year-old son, man, he saw where that was going way quicker than I did. But I did love how literal they got with some of those old 66 villains. Like Egghead literally has a dozen eggs that are all gimmick eggs that he can throw at the Batman duplicates.
It's so nice. Seeing them all come out of the back of that van. You see Bookworm and King Tut. It was so cool.
Yeah. And, you know, when Batman goes and he takes over Commissioner Gordon and he takes over the role of Chief O'Hara, and even when he takes over the mayor, which would have been great if Nestor Carbonell had done that voice. But when he takes over those roles, that kind of makes sense. But it gets really fun when he goes and takes over the role of the baker. And he says, Gotham deserves a better boulangerie.
So good.
And then you see he's taking over the mailman, and then he goes to the garage and gets the souped up hot rod Batmobile, which if they make a Hot Wheel of that, I'm going to buy it.
It would be what the evil guy would do. And I love later on Robin's kind of like, what's this? kind of expression when he gets to ride in it later.
And you know, Robin, once Batman has just gone pure evil, he's fired Alfred. We see Alfred down in the Narrows digging through trash for what we think is food, but it turns out to be ingredients for an antidote.
Boy, I thought, man, he is on Skid Row so fast.
Didn't that guy save anything? He has no bills.
And then Robin, well, of course, he was only paid in non-negotiable Confederate States dollars of America or whatever. But then Robin gets kicked over to the YMCA, and his biggest complaint is it's so hard to practice his ballet at the YMCA. Like, I'm expecting the Village People to jump out. That would have been a great gag if the Village People had shown up there.
Village People cameo. But yes, he is sitting there like I can't concentrate on doing my ballet here.
Well, we're going. Hold on, because we're missing a joke here, which is that probably Bruce Wayne pays Robin and Alfred and his aunt in bat bucks, and they're talking behind his back, and they're like, "These bat bucks are absolutely worthless."
Oh man!
He walks into a store. It's just like, "What can I get for this bat buck? A what now? Get out of here, you crazy old coot!"
And then, you know, in a moment of desperation, Robin goes to seek the help of Catwoman, where we get a great Russ Meyer reference. Did you guys pick that up?
I did not pick that up. Explain.
Well, when he goes and he makes this deal with Catwoman that they need to go rescue Batman and try to stop the evil Batman and figure out what's going on, she takes him out to her kitty cat car. And he looks at it and he goes, "Faster, holy faster, pussycat, kill, kill," which is a famous Russ Meyer movie.
Oh, I did get that. I didn't put together Russ Meyer, though.
What I love is he just goes, "I'm driving." She goes, "Are you old enough to drive?" And his response is "I got a permit. I can drive with a licensed adult
in the car."
So good. It's both sexist and goofy. It's so
and
great.
I love the 71-year-old voice of Burt Ward portraying a guy uncomfortable with his own puberty, as he really doesn't know what to make of the fact that he's looking at the skin-tight Catwoman jumpsuit that she has on, and you can very much tell, like, he likes what he sees, but he doesn't like that he likes what he sees. And that is so much fun to think of this poor 71-year-old man who adopts pets from the shelter for a living now, portraying that.
Ah, so funny.
He's so confused about what's going on. So I was like, I just don't, I feel different.
It would have been great if he just passed out all at once because he couldn't handle the hormones.
The great part is he's like, "Yeah, I got a permit. I could drive with adult in the car," and then proceeds to knock her out with special spray.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that was a little bit of a roofie joke. There were some people that didn't appreciate that, and some that thought it was a clever social commentary. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. She says, "You better keep your hands off of me while I'm out," and he, of course, says, "I wouldn't even know where my hands belong while you're out." You know, something like that.
It's just like, look, but that's the thing that you got to remember, man. This is like, while it's done today, this still has, like, you know, wholesome 1960s values, you know?
And my question is, like, from a legal standpoint, does a learner's permit count if the adult is passed out?
That's the whole point, where I'm just sitting there going, well, yeah, you got an adult in the car, but you just knocked them out, so they can't, you know, kind of supervise what you're doing at all.
Oh,
well, it seems like Batman and Robin can do whatever the hell they want in this version of Gotham City.
Not jaywalk, they can't.
Oh, man, they get to do the Bat Watusi a little bit later on, but they go back to the Bat Cave and have one of those classic moments of ridiculousness with what's always in the utility belt. I mean, it all started with Bat Shark repellent that just happened to be there in the 66 movie. And here, you know, they've made some antidote to that Catwoman venom or whatever. And Robin sprays the antidote, and then, of course, Batman pulls out his can of anti-antidote, and then it escalates to the nuclear reactor with the anti-isotope spray, and they have that little utility belt showdown where they each have increasingly more convolutedly specific things in their belt to counter what the other one has. I love that. That is so much what I loved to look at when I was 8 years old on WTBS on an old black and white TV at my grandma's house.
It's just so corny and dumb, but man, oh man, does it work and it's fun.
That is the theme for me with this entire movie, is that you cannot watch this without having a smile on your face. It's so well done. It's so goofy. They know who they're writing for. Because kids aren't going to be watching this movie unless they're forced to by
me.
People like us. Yeah.
Yeah, I took 3 kids, and the first thing my daughter thought it was going to be the new Lego Batman movie. And once we got there, I said, "No, you remember how we watched that old Batman movie?" And she said, "You mean the guys in the tights and the pantyhose?" I said,
Dad.
"Yes." She said, "Oh, disgusting."
Lame.
But she liked the movie when she saw it. She liked it when she saw it. But it just when you think the throwbacks and the homages and the references can't get any better, they go back to the Gotham Palace, where Batman is now the host of the Gotham Palace, where the bed bugs, I think, are performing now. And we get an extended scene of Bat Watusi going on, which is one of the highest moments of the old Adam West TV show, is the Bat Watusi.
Just pure insanity. And it's one of those things is like, you almost could not have that.
And I do like that the Gotham show there, that show watched by everyone. Everyone has seen the show. So
and
neat.
Not only that, but he rigged up bombs to the TV, so if they turned the channel, it would explode and kill them all.
I thought that was such a nice point that they were just like, hey, We're on every channel. If you turn if you turn this thing off, you're toast. I thought that was like that's more than what most of these things think about, you know.
And going back,
even high profile like blockbuster movies don't get that deep with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And going all the way back to 1995, the first time I ever saw Pulp Fiction, I thought that the Vinnie Vega, Uma Thurman, John Travolta dance was straight copycat of the Bat Watusi. That's what I've always thought.
Bruce has never heard of the little thing called the twist.
No, they do the thing in front of their eyes with the two fingers, just like Batman does in the Bat Watusi in 1966. Come on, man. You know what I'm talking about.
Now, we're going to rewind half a second here because I feel if we don't bring it up, it won't happen again. But how awesome was it back in the TV dinner factory and everything? The Batman getting hit and seeing triple.
Oh, and it was Eartha Kitt, Lee Merriweather, along with the Julie Newmar version. Yeah. I love that so much because I got to be honest, I'm a Lee Merriweather man more than a Julie Newmar man.
Me too, buddy.
Yeah,
me too.
And the trivia buffs out there have already noted that this movie is the first time that Adam West Batman and Julie Newmar's Catwoman ever kissed. Over 50 years in the making, and they're both old enough to be great, if not great-great-grandparents at this point.
Yeah.
You got to take the wins you can get sometimes.
And I insisted on doing that in real life, chum.
I gotta bring this up. Real life here. Does Adam West want to kiss Julie Newmar in real life?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, I did. For the longest time, I was on the same train that you are, but I did a little research because I didn't really know, to be honest. And
I go just on the adult side of PG-13? But
okay.
Memoirs written from the cast of the old 1966, particularly Frank Gorshin's memoirs, said that Adam West was frequently hosting parties where multiple adults would get naked and make bat sandwiches.
It was the 60s,
and he was into
man.
the ladies in those parties.
It was the swinging 60s, bro, and you just did what you did. And
I do like the term bat sandwiches, though. That's good.
Yeah, just imagine Frank Gorshin on one side of you, Adam West on the other.
That's
Sean.
a frightening bat sandwich right there, boy. I love Frank.
And apparently the legend that Burt Ward puts forward is that Burt Ward is really well endowed.
Well, of course, Burt Ward is going to say something like that because he's been getting wailed on for like 50 years because of those short shorts.
You know, he turned down the Dustin Hoffman role in The Graduate to be Robin.
No, you're not. Yeah, that is true. But you're not wrong. I did hear it was probably on Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman where he was talking about how basically they had to kind of strap him down in that costume. At least that's what he says.
Oh, man.
So, it is what it is. I'm like, good for you, buddy.
The truth is, what nobody will ever know is that Alan Napier was the one who was really getting it done behind the scenes, if you catch my drift.
Of course he was.
Him and Aunt Harriet couldn't keep their hands off each other.
Well, Stallone has called Burgess Meredith a stick man in interviews before. He has.
Oh, get him, Rock.
That sounds about right. So they finally have their fight and everything. We learn that Alfred is not back on Skid Row. He's actually knew that should a time come where I tell you get out, that's actually code for
yeah, and I gotta say that as a lifelong comic book fan, a very, very big Batman fan, that moment in this movie has communicated the way that Batman and Alfred operate better than anything I've ever seen in any movie or TV show before, and I love that moment.
It's true. Not just like, Mr. Wayne, I don't want you to die, and I'll have to be here all by myself. That's a good Michael Caine.
I really like for you to be Batman.
Ew.
Yeah.
But no, you're not wrong. That is one of the best kind of like, hey, these two are that kind of, as we talked earlier in the show, really are on that level, and that he is his most valuable ally for sure.
That might be the most Batman thing I've ever seen in a Batman movie.
Bring that on, kids. But it's good. He finally gets nice and everything, and we're off into the sunset. But it does.
Well, not quite. He's still got to go fight some bad guys on a blimp.
The blimp fight. I forgot almost. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the blimp fight. I'm telling you, for a 70-minute movie, this movie really has like 7 acts. I think. Like every 10 minutes, we get a new act.
Yeah, they
Well,
pack it in big
it's
time.
built like the Batman 66 movie, where you think that it's done and then it keeps going.
Well, it's also kind of built like an episode of The Simpsons where that same thing happens. You think this is what the show is going to be about, and it turns into something else. But I got to tell you, they have a moment of artistic integrity unlike any other up on top of that blimp when Joker gets cornered and he breaks wind before he jumps off the blimp, falls into a circus, and gets arrested by a bunch of clowns.
It was so bizarre.
Yeah, that was wow. It's too bad, hopefully Cesar Romero is rolling over in his grave with his white painted mustache somewhere.
You did that on purpose. There's no way you did not do that on purpose, Bruce.
Do what?
Uh-huh.
He's the dog whisperer, right? Wasn't Joker the dog whisperer?
Yes, of course. Of course he was. Cesar Romero, the dog whisperer.
Cesar Romero.
You have
to, I believe what he just said.
You have
Cesar.
You have to be dominant over the dog or the bat.
He was the clown whisperer with all these creepy clowns going around nowadays.
I'll admit that's the only problem that I have. Like, and it's honest to goodness. I know it's nitpicking is all crap. I wish they would have because they've done it in some of the books. If like you see some of the Alex Ross, kind of paintings and stuff that they did for that Batman 66 book and everything.
Yeah,
I wish they would have put the mustache in there.
I
that
knew
would have
you were
been
going.
nice.
I thought Bruce was going to be the one who said that, but I knew that was going to come up tonight.
I kind of wish they had done that just another real small level of authenticity to it. But they probably did it and were like, oh, most people won't get this.
There's another gag, another jab that would be remiss if we don't mention, but near the end of the movie, Catwoman looks at Batman and says, "What do you want? You want to end up drinking tea in Paris? That would be the worst ending ever," which was a nice Christopher Nolan jab gag.
Oh, I didn't even catch that one.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
But yeah, this thing, that's a nice part about this movie is that it's chock-a-block full with jokes and inside stuff and just really reverence and irreverence for the 66 Batman. And I think that's what ultimately makes this thing good is that it knew what it was and it grabbed on hold to it and didn't let go.
And then we get the credits, after it finally ends, we get those credits where we have the characters dancing. It was a lot of fun to watch. My kids didn't even want to get up and leave till the credits were done. It was just a nice, satisfying movie-going experience for me.
And it's odd as an adult man just looking at like, man, they really drew Catwoman well, didn't they?
Oh,
yeah, I thought the same thing. Actually.
Anatomically correct mounds of chowder buckets.
I'm like, this is not bad. Like, even if this thing was like terrible, it'd be like, well, it's a good looking Catwoman we got going on.
Oh yeah. And you take nothing. There's nothing in life like matching up a drawn body like that with an 83-year-old woman's voice to make you question humanity.
Yeah, that is the weird thing. Like, West, like not for nothing, West and Ward were really, really good. Hers was the only time where, like, sometimes it was good and sometimes it was just like, oh, there's an old lady behind there.
Yeah. Man, I was amazed though for an 83. She is older than my grandmother. And she still has a sultry sound to her voice. I mean, anybody's voice might waver after 7 hours straight of saying the same line over and over again. But she's got, like, to this day, a quality to her voice that Kathleen Turner thinks she has but will never have, that Julie Newmar has and knows it. Only Patrick Swayze has ever come close to that level of sultry.
I'm leaving that one alone.
Tu Wong Fu. Tu Wong Fu. Thanks for everything, Julie Newmar reference there.
Indeed.
Wow, that is a deep, deep cut.
Well, before we kind of do our final little breakdown here and everything, we have to find out how this lovely piece of animation relates back to our good friend Sylvester Stallone.
Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement. And stick with me, boys. Stick with me. Here we go.
All right.
Jim Ward was the voice of Commissioner Gordon. He's a Taurus. He also worked with Sylvester Stallone on Ratchet and Clank. And that's how Sylvester Stallone connects to Batman, the Return of the Caped Crusaders. Were you expecting more?
I was hoping Burgess Meredith was still alive.
Maybe some long-winded story about Stallone doing VO work on Ratchet and Clank? Do you have any funny stories about Ratchet and Clank? I doubt it.
Matt saw it on the Film Find and said it was not too good.
I wouldn't imagine. When we came up with the idea of connecting Sylvester Stallone to every superhero property ever made back in 2013, it seemed like an interesting, funny idea. And Stallone is an interesting person. But is he 200 different stories interesting? Of course he is. He's freaking Sylvester Stallone. But as I started snooping around looking for anecdotes about the making of Ratchet and Clank, the only thing I found was how absolutely nutty Bella Thorne is in real life. No awesome Stallone stories. He didn't slap anyone in the recording studio. He didn't try to mac on an intern. He didn't even talk about his terrible paintings. That's lame. Well, Jim Ward does have a day job. He co-hosts the Stephanie Miller Show, a nationally syndicated liberal radio talk show, where he does impressions of politicians and celebrities, which is a sentence that completely bums me out while saying it. When I think of political humor, I immediately think that guy isn't funny in real life. So there you have it, HMPers, this week's Stallone connection. Now, chums, let's review Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders so I can get back to what I do best, whatever the hell that might be.
All right, let's get down to it. For those of you unawares, here on Hero Movie Podcast, we don't have stars, we don't have thumbs or any of that kind of garbage. We have our own garbage. It's called the Patented Robin Rating System, and if you want to check that out, you can go to facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast. The picture of it's right there on the top of the page, so you'll know exactly what's what, so you can break it down for your own home enjoyment and everything. Bruce, where does Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders fall on the Patented Robin Rating System for you, sir?
Well, the first thing I've got to say is that Warner Brothers has already greenlit a sequel, and William Shatner will be the voice of Two-Face. So imagine Adam West having a conversation with William Shatner all in VO.
Well, let's be honest. That's going to be an hour and a half right there just due to Shatner's pauses alone.
West and Shatner are two sides of the same coin, thus Two-Face. It's perfect.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's so good.
But I'm going to say that I think they squandered a couple of opportunities to have other Bat incarnations appear. They did it with Catwoman. They had a little bit of Eartha Kitt. They had a little bit of Lee Merriweather in addition to Julie Newmar. With all these Batman duplicates, how about you get Dietrich Bader to do a voice? How about you get Kevin Conroy to do a voice? How about you maybe get some of the other folks who've done Batman over the years to do a voice? I think Yeah, Keaton, of course. But I think they squandered a little bit of an opportunity there. But the novelty is wonderful. Even if it is a little bit superficial, the humor's still great. And I'm a guy that loves this kind of stuff, so I loved it. I think for people familiar with the 66 original, you're going to like this. I'm going to give it a low Tim Drake.
Very good. Mr. Keenan.
I am giving it a straight up Tim Drake because I love this thing. This is the best animated anything we've seen. As long as HMP has been around, this has been my favorite thing we've seen that's a VOD property. It is a straight up Tim Drake for me.
Yeah. I went into this thing, like I said, very apprehensive. Not like, while I enjoy it for what it is, not really my Batman per se. But the level that they handled everything here, to me, that's one of the biggest things, is like when you know what you are and you just ride it on out, that just shows to me that you've got that confidence. You're not putting on airs. You don't give a crap. You're just like, hey, here's what we're doing. This is how we're going to roll with it. And we're proud of that. And to me, that's awesome. And for something that I was going to go, man, I just don't know how well this is going to land, I walked out with a big giant smile on my face and was super glad that I did it. And so it's Tim Drake's all around, man.
How do you think it compares to The Killing Joke, Adam?
Here's the thing. It's like going against Batman 66 versus 89 Batman. They're two way different things. At the end of the day, I'll probably watch this more than that one.
Because for me, man, I've just got so much emotional connection to the source material that The Killing Joke is going to be just a tiny bit higher on my scale than this. But it is a tough decision to make.
It's still good. I mean, as far as proper material goes. But again, it's like saying which is a better movie, Caddyshack or Schindler's List. Well, they're very different movies.
Caddyshack all the way.
I mean, you'll watch Caddyshack on any given Saturday, but at the end of the day, you go, well, Schindler's List is quite a piece of cinema.
I mean, some people are really into skinny naked ladies.
Maybe
Schindler's List is one of those movies that's got to be on a list somewhere of movies that are great but you'll never see again.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I even went and I got like.
I skipped organic chemistry class to go see that movie, and I actually think I would have had a better time in organic chemistry class because I was very sad for some reason after Schindler's List.
Who walks out of Schindler's List and does a hitch kick?
Well, Jerry Seinfeld made out with a girl during the movie.
That was a great episode. So making out Schindler's List. But yeah, man. So that was we really enjoyed this all around. And so here's what I want to do. And I didn't talk to you guys about this ahead of time, but I think we're going to put this in here as a lovely thing because, like I said, we do want to keep people coming in. Like I said, they've contributed to the Patreon, and we'll really appreciate that. And so they take donations right there at the beginning of the month, okay? So we got a couple more weeks here in December and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a thing to where everybody, for every dollar that you put in through Patreon and everything, we're going to put all the names in a big hat. So if you obviously put in $1, there's one entry for you, and however many you go up, if it's $10, you'll have 10. We'll put them all in a big giant hat and everything. We're going to draw one out, and then we're going to send out the Blu-ray, which will have like a Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy out to whomever wins that. So patreon.com/HMP. And
we're sending out a Blu-ray of this movie?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's what I've decided to do. Just to kind of help people
cool.
out and get people on board with
way better than that Aquaman digital code we sent out.
Yeah. Actually, the other one we did give out, I don't think the person that we actually picked for the Aquaman thing actually ever got back to us.
So hey, if anybody wants an Aquaman code, hit us up.
I had to find out where it's at. I may throw that in there just for funsies if I can find it. But yeah, so patreon.com/HMP at the beginning of November. Once everything's kind of going through, we'll pick out names and everything, and we'll send that out to you. And honestly, you could do a lot worse than this thing because it's a blast.
Plus, we need to put another poll up for another movie review.
Yes.
Next month. We've already got Daredevil for this month.
Yeah,
let's see what they pick for next month.
Exactly. So let's talk about that here for half a second because next week we're going to be doing the pick from our Patreon folks and everything, and that's going to be Daredevil from 2003. So the Ben Affleck Daredevil, we're going to talk about that. I got the director's cut here and everything, so I'm going to watch that one because, believe me, we'll get into it, is that they are two different movies for sure. So we'll be talking about that, and that was voted on by the people on Patreon. And how do you vote on that? You just drop on down to patreon.com/HMP, and at the beginning of November and everything, we're going to put out another poll. You guys will vote on that stuff, and whatever is the most popular, that's what we're going to review sometime in the month of November. So, we always, like I said, it's all about kind of giving back to you guys, and thank you for helping this show out and keeping us in the black, as it were.
And Adam, I don't know what movies you're going to put up for the poll, but I think you should put Ginger Dead Man on the list for people to vote for.
Listen, we may have to have a lot of people because I tried to watch the first. I got through maybe 15 minutes of Ginger Dead Man before I was like, I'm glad I don't live on like a third floor or something because I may have just jumped out.
Well, the comic book is great.
My Lord, that was I'm like, I can't even it looks as bad as it does. So
And if you pick up the trade paperback for Ginger Dead Man, you just might see Chubby Wizard on the back cover.
But here's the thing, man. It's on the list now. It'll be there, and if our Patreon people decide that that's what they want to put us through, we'll do it. So perfect. The power is in your hands, dear listeners. Until then, so next week we'll be doing Daredevil from 2003. Until then, Sean, where can we find more of your work on the internet this week, sir?
Go to that twitter.com and go to Hero Movie Sean and you'll find me.
Indeed. Mr. Leslie.
Heroes and Villains has a new episode that was just released today, which is yesterday for people listening to this, and it was all about Alfred Pennyworth. And who do you think would make a good guest for an episode about the English butler Alfred?
Marty Merrick.
Yes, perfect. He's my guest for the Alfred episode. And then, of course, Chubby Wizard should have a new episode up, tomorrow or the next day where we talk a little bit about some comic books. I can't even remember what's new this week, but there'll be good stuff out. And a little bit of Arrow and Flash and stuff.
I was going to say Forrest Whitaker, but okay.
And I think Gotham. I think that's a show that's on now.
It is, and I got so many episodes sitting in the background there. It just shows you how much I really want to watch it, and I've got nothing but time on my hands, folks.
Agents of Ghost Rider.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll do a bonus episode about some of the TV stuff that's coming out, and you never know. And you'll get those if you patreon.com/HMP. I know it sounds like a broken record, but those folks get some fine stuff over there. All right, that is it, everybody. Until next week when we talk about Daredevil from 2003, starring our good friend Ben Affleck. For Sean Keenan, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.